As some of you guys know, Nigeria is in a crazy, crazy state right now. Nigeria is in a crazy, crazy state right now. That is my country. That is where I'm from. Um, Today we are going to be reacting to bro. This shit is so sad, bro. Nigeria responds after 25 schoolgirls were kidnapped. A new Kebbi attack, and just yesterday as well, some people were shot in a church. Like Nigeria right now, bro, is it's just very it's sad. Being Nigerian sometimes just has me like damn, bro. But anyways, you guys, let's get into the video.
We begin in Nigeria, where a familiar and deeply troubling pattern of school abductions has returned, this time in the northwestern state of Kebbi. Armed bandits on November the 17th launched a pre-dawn attack on a girls' secondary school, kidnapping 25 students and killing a staff member. Police say the raid began shortly after 4 a.m. local time. A criminal gang, armed with what officials described as sophisticated weapons, stormed the school. They fired sporadically, scaled the school fence, and forced their way into the hostel. By the time security teams had arrived, the attackers had already taken 25 schoolgirls to an unknown location.
Bro, Nigeria, and this happened like 11 years ago with the whole bring back our girl situation. It's it's sad. It's sad. And I'm telling you that the main reason why people are doing this is because nobody in Nigeria can afford shit, bro. People in Nigeria can't afford shit. The leadership is horrible. The government is bad, you know. And that's why like a lot of us, end up like going to different countries. We end up fleeing the country because I don't know, at some point we just realized that this country is not getting any better. It's only going to get worse. And it's so sad that we were able to predict this whole situation, you know?
According to a report prepared for the United Nations, the school's deputy head was shot dead during the assault. A security guard was also injured. Authorities say military units, police tactical squads, and local vigilante groups are now combing known bandit routes and surrounding forests to try and rescue the children. This is the second mass school kidnapping in Kebbi in 4 years. In 2021, more than 100 students and staff were taken from a government college. Many were released only after ransoms were paid, some returning years later, and in some cases with babies after forced marriages.
Isn't that so terrible? Like, bro, when I think about how Nigeria is as a country, sometimes I'm like, fuck, bro. I can't believe that I'm Nigerian sometimes. It is very important to have an education, bro. It is very important to have an education. I can't even cap. And it's just unfortunate that, this is how the world is, like Africa keeps on getting exploited. People can't get educations here. It's bro.
The new attack revives painful memories of the Chibok abduction in 2014, when 276 girls were abducted by Boko Haram. The incident sparked global outcry and the Bring Back Our Girls campaign. Nearly 100 of those girls remain missing today. And since then, similar attacks have swept across northern Nigeria, including last year's Kuriga mass kidnapping, when over 130 students were abducted and later released. Kidnapping data in Nigeria is infamously underreported, but UNICEF estimates that in the last 9 years alone, over 2,400 grave violation incidents against children have been verified in just the northeast, affecting nearly 7,000 children. A report by Save the Children found that more than 1,600 students were abducted from 2014 to 2022.
Like, bruh, it's so insane. It's so insane. Like Nigeria as a country, bro. It is so heartbreaking when I see things like this, and here, like every country has their own like stuff, bro. But like sometimes I just wish that there could be world peace, bro. Like in Nigeria and all African countries in the world, cause like all of this is just It's just like, wow.
Observers note that hostage taking has become a lucrative industry in Nigeria.
Meanwhile, there's billionaires, bro. There's billionaires out there. Like, what?
Used by bandit gangs, insurgents, and criminal networks alike. Authorities in Nigeria's northwest have attempted peace deals with bandits. They have deployed vigilante groups, launched military offensives, and negotiated ransom releases. But the strategy has shown little success. Critics warn the kidnapping crisis is now out of control, with bandits operating across state borders, often more heavily armed than local security teams. As authorities race to rescue the abducted schoolgirls, Nigeria finds itself at a critical moment, grappling with a kidnapping crisis at home. We'll keep track of how Nigeria battles bandits and insurgents in the months ahead. And for more on this, we have with us Inebehi Effiong, who is an activist and human rights lawyer, joining us live from Abuja. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I want to first look and get an insight from you on the type of groups that are carrying out these attacks. Of course, we've mentioned money, but what else could be the motive?
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store.
Thank you. So the situation in Nigeria, in our country, particularly in the northern part of the country, several groups are operating. We have both organizations or groups that are just essentially criminal gangs, heavily armed, highly trained. They have unleashed so much terror on communities, force people to pay ransom, force communities to pay ransoms as conditions for basis for not invading them or not killing people. So
Sometimes, let me be real, sometimes I'm scared to go back home because if I go back home, people will be able to pick up the fact that I lived here, like in Canada. Like, a Canadian might listen to my voice and be like, oh, you have an accent. But if I go home, they're going to know, that, yo, this person has not been here for a while. And they're going to assume that I have money and things like, I could get kidnapped. Like, I'm telling you that, like, it's scary. It's genuinely scary.
on the one hand, you have what you call, in quotes, the bandits, which essentially are terrorists, because you cannot say that they do not have an objective. Okay, their objective may be money, it may be land grabbing, which is part of it. The other part of it is that some of these groups, these criminal groups, are individuals or persons who are essentially fueled or motivated by some form of religious agenda. You have the Islamic State in West Africa, ISWAP, operating almost freely in many parts of the northwestern, northeastern, and even north central part of Nigeria. You also have Boko Haram still actively in operation across the northern part of Nigeria in particular. And then there are also splintered different non-state actors operating across different states, from Katsina to Zamfara to Kebbi State, some parts of Borno, and so on, that are essentially out to kidnap people for ransom, kill victims, and so on. So
All of this is just because people in the country don't have money, bro. That's the core of everything. There's no, like, for example, like, bro, the minimum wage in Nigeria is like how much? Like 30,000 naira, which is like $30 or something like that. It's like, it's next to nothing. The people in the country can't afford anything. The higher ups have all the money. They've stolen all the money.
what you are seeing in Nigeria now is a situation where non-state actors have basically challenged the territorial integrity of Nigeria, carve out territories within the Nigerian state for themselves, and are essentially exercising control over those communities for religious reasons. That is particularly the ISWAP and Boko Haram, who are seeking to impose strict Sharia on the country. And then you also have, on the other hand, as I said, these groups of terrorists of different factions whose primary objective is money. So the government doesn't seem to have control over this. The government seems basically handicapped at this point.
Yes, and we'll look ahead, of course, to what can be done and what the government might need to do. But first, I want to get an understanding from you of how Nigeria is reacting right now to this tragic incident. Of course, this comes off the back of similar kidnappings in recent years.
That in 2014, 276 school children were kidnapped from a Christian school, a Christian community in Borno State called Chibok. Till date, some of those school children have not been rescued. Boko Haram members married some of them off. They have not been accounted for. The Nigerian government has not been able to rescue them. So this is another traumatic experience for Nigerians. This kidnap incident in particular that just happened has provoked national outrage. Nigerians are very offended that this has continued to happen, that it looks as if the government simply waits to allow...
The government doesn't do anything, bruh. Like, when I say the Nigerian government is it's just something else. Sorry guys, sorry I keep pausing. It's just a lot.
These terrorists to strike and then pretend to be concerned, because I do not understand how they are able to simply operate unchecked, without restriction, and they're allowed to simply go into schools, kidnap school children, and don't forget that they mostly target schools where they are female students. That is not a coincidence. They have their objective. It is usually, most times, schools where they are essentially for, female students, because not only do they kidnap these schoolgirls, sometimes they subject them to forced labor, they subject them to slavery,
slavery, rape, child marrying them off, like it's crazy.
Them to sexual molestation and exploitation. So what they are doing is barbaric, what they are doing is inhuman, and Nigerians have had it enough. That we cannot allow this to continue. We cannot wake up every morning and read in the news that school children are being kidnapped, and the government is simply not doing anything to quell it.
Yes, and thank you to Inabehe for joining us and providing insight. Of course, we will continue to bring you all of the updates on this incident and any further kidnappings that take place across Nigeria.
You guys, I guess that's the video, man. It's a shame what's going on in Nigeria. I can't lie to you, bro. Yeah.